The Man and the Myth. 4 unsigned scrolls that conquered the world, and quietly rewrote themselves. We have learned to call them Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but the parchment itself never whispers a name. Picture 4 scrolls arriving in a Roman house church around the year 150 CE. One is smudged with Syrian dust, another still smells of Ephesian ink. None bears a signature. Yet within a generation, bishops will stamp them with apostolic brands, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, as if the fishermen and tax collectors themselves had penned every line. They did not. The greatest story ever told was written by nobodies. And in the 20th century, it was quietly edited by somebodies, Jewish organizations who feared the ancient accusation that the Jews killed Jesus would keep fueling pogroms. The bedrock beneath the legend. Before the ink, before the myths, before the edits, there was a man. A Galilean preacher baptized in the Jordan, crucified outside Jerusalem by Roman soldiers under Roman authority. Even Rome, which had every reason to forget him, could not. In 116 CE, Tacitus wrote, Christus suffered the extreme penalty at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilatus. A limestone block unearthed in 1961 confirms, Pon, Tius Pilatus. Praef, Ectusiuda, Eae. Josephus added, Pilate condemned him to the cross. These are enemies of the movement admitting Rome did the deed. But the Gospels, written 35 to 70 years later, in Greek, far from Judea, tell a different story. The Jews, as villains, the original text. Open the earliest Greek manuscripts, Sinaiticus, Vaticanus, 4th century. Read the crucifixion scenes. Matthew chapter 27 verse 25 rings out like a curse. Then the people as a whole answered, His blood be on us and on our children. John repeats, the Jews, 71 times, almost always as a hostile monolith. In John chapter 19 verse 15, they shout, Away with him! Crucify him! Pilate asks, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answer, We have no king but Caesar. Mark and Luke soften it slightly, but still the chief priests and scribes lead the charge. This is not historical reporting. This is post-70 CE theology. The temple is gone. Jerusalem is ashes. The Jesus movement, once a Jewish sect, has been expelled from synagogues, John chapter 9 verses 22, 16, 2. The writers, now in Antioch, Ephesus, Rome, are Gentile majority communities locked in a bitter divorce from Judaism. So they shift the blame, from Roman executioners, the historical truth, to the Jews, a theological scapegoat. It's not a lie. It's polemic. But polemic kills. From parchment to pogrom for 1,800 years, Matthew chapter 27 verse 25, His blood be on us and on our children, was weaponized. Medieval passion plays ended with crowds chanting it before burning Jewish quarters. The Crusades invoked deicide to justify massacres. The Spanish Inquisition cited the blood curse to expel Jews in 1492. Tsarist Russia scheduled Easter pogroms after sermons on Christ killers. The Holocaust was the final, industrial-scale echo. Nazi propaganda quoted the Gospels directly, The Jews are our misfortune. They crucified Christ. Der Stürmer, 1930s. The quiet edit, Jewish organizations step in. After 1945, survivors and scholars demanded change. The American Jewish Committee, the Anti-Defamation League, and the World Jewish Congress did not ask for the Gospels to be rewritten. They asked for translations to stop amplifying the blood libel. In the New Revised Standard Version of 1989, Matthew chapter 27 verse 25 remains unchanged in the text, but a footnote appears. This verse has been misused to justify anti-Semitism. It does not imply a perpetual curse. John's 71 uses of the Jews are retained, yet another footnote clarifies, in John, the Jews often means Judean authorities rather than the Jewish people as a whole. The New Jerusalem Bible of 1985 goes further, frequently rendering the phrase as the Jewish leaders or the authorities. The Inclusive Language Lectionary of 1983 replaces the Jews cried out with the people cried out, avoiding collective blame. The Vatican joined in. Nostra Aetate in 1965 declared, "What happened in his passion cannot be charged against all the Jews, without distinction, then alive, nor against the Jews of today." A 1985 Pontifical Commission added, "The charge of deicide is a tragic misunderstanding. These are not deletions. They are annotations of mercy, footnotes against fire. The census that never happened." Luke's Nativity is a masterpiece of theological geography. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus, when Quirinius was governor of Syria, but Quirinius's census came in 6 CE, while Herod the Great died in 4 BCE. No Roman census required travel to ancestral homes. The anonymous Gentile author invented a journey to get Jesus to Bethlehem. Matthew, meanwhile, sends the family fleeing to Egypt under Herod, with a star and a massacre. 2 nativities. 2 timelines. 0 overlap. 4 empty tombs, 4 different dawns. Imagine the dawn after the crucifixion. In Mark, 3 women, Mary Magdalene, Mary mother of James, and Salome, find a young man in white. The stone is already gone. They flee in fear, saying nothing. In Matthew, 2 Marys witness an angel rolling the stone during an earthquake. Jesus meets them on the road. In Luke, several women encounter 2 dazzling men. The first appearance is to disciples on the Emmaus road that evening. In John, Mary Magdalene alone finds an empty tomb. Jesus appears to her, saying, "Don't cling." No harmony. No, I was there. Just 4 communities shaping memory into myth. The virgin birth, a myth with 1,000 mothers. Matthew quotes Isaiah, "Behold, the virgin shall conceive," but the Hebrew says Alma, young woman. The Greek Septuagint said Parthenos, virgin. The motif was ancient. Horus conceived when Isis reassembled Osiris, Perseus from golden rain in a tower, Augustus from Apollo as serpent in the temple, Krishna from divine hair planted in Devaki's womb. Our anonymous authors inherited it, the universal language of divine sonship. The historical Jesus, a shadow in the text. Paul, writing 20 to 30 years after the crucifixion, never mentions virgin birth. Empty tomb. The Jews killing Jesus. He only says, "He appeared to Cephas, then to the 12, last of all to me." 1 Cor 15. Visions, not physical encounters. The blood curse, the zombie saints, the virgin birth, all bloom after 70 CE, in the anonymous Gospels. The power of the nameless, unedited, story. The Gospels are not forgeries. They are anonymous acts of defiance, later softened by compassion. Written by nobodies, scribes, teachers, mystics, in the ashes of a destroyed temple, they took a failed Messiah and made him the axis of history. The names Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are 2nd century stickers. The edits, the Jews, right pointing arrow, the authorities, footnotes against the blood curse, a 20th century mercy. Both reveal the same truth. Stories evolve. Blame kills. Memory must be tended. The message was never, "Believe this because an apostle wrote it." It was, "Believe this because a dead man refused to stay dead in the hearts of his friends." And that story, unsigned, contradictory, mythic, and now carefully annotated, still conquers the world.